going to come up here to the parameter tab. I'm going to kick into edit mode here real quick. And that one I'm going to leave alone. These ones here, I don't want users messing with this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the limits. I'm going to use the current values because the current values are the defaults and 0. That's what we want them to be. And then I'm going to turn limits on, and then I'm going to lock them, and then I'm going to hide them. That way someone's going to have to really try to break it. I'm also going to go ahead, I'm going to hide the scale dials. I'm going to switch over to the lock. I'm going to find the dial that controls the lock. It's that one there. See what I want to do. I want to go 0 to 180 is the right answer for that. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to change the name to open lock and change the limits to 0 and 180. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to click that one. I'm going to shift click that one, come back here, control click the one I don't want to change, and then right click and set the limits to the current values. I'm going to turn limits on. I'm going to lock the dials, and then I'm going to hide the dials. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hide the scaling dials. And I go to the lid and see how we want the lid to move. I already know we want the lid to go from 0 to negative 180. So I'm going to Alt and click to go back to 0. I'm going to change this to open lid. And set the limits from negative 180 to 0. And so now the lid opens. And then I'm going to hide, lock, set limits, all that good stuff to these. And I'm going to hide the scale dials. Let me double check, make sure I hit all that. Yep. And we're going to leave all the stuff at the bottom except for the scale dials alone. Here we'll hide these. And the rest of them, they can rotate it from the bottom if they want, or they can rotate it from the chest. I'm going to drop out of edit mode here for a minute. I'm going to, I got the root selected. I'm going to go parameters. I'm going to memorize the figure the way it is now, so that all the dials, in case I have anything set that I didn't mean to have set, that's set as the default, so I don't get any surprises. Because this is the overly complicated chest, I'm going to load in a morph with the morph loader. Choose the morph, and it's feet. I don't need to change any of the values because I'm not doing anything too fancy with my overly complicated morph. But now over here in morph loader, you find that we have a dial. Now watch this. You ready for this? Adds feet. We don't want people to dial into negative values, so I'm going to alt click back to 0. Come in here, and first I'm going to change the path. I don't like it there. I'm going to change it to controls. So never leave dials in morph loader because it looks cheap. It looks like all you did was import it and you didn't polish it up at all. So use limits. I'm going to change it so it displays as a whole number. It's 0, 1. It's not a percentage. Alright, so I'm going to check, make sure it shows up in the shaping tab, and it does. Here's the thing though, right? Because it adds feet. It's sitting on the ground right now. You add feet, and the feet poke through the ground. Not really what I want to have happen. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up to here, and I'm going to move it to the floor. And it's going to move it up just that little bit, so now the feet are sitting on the floor. Because move to floor looks at your mesh. Looks at the bounding box, move the bounding box to the floor. So I'm going to come over here to the parameters, transforms. You can see that it moved it up 6. It moved it up 6 from the root node though. I don't want it to move the root node. I'm going to change that back to 0. I want it to move the bottom. So I'm going to paste the 6 back in there because 6 was hard to remember or something. Now I want the dial to do that, so I'm going to leave the 6 there. It's in the right spot. Things the way I want them. I'm going to go find my dial again. I'm going to go back into edit mode, select the dial, right click, and I'm going to ERC freeze. And of course it comes up, notice the chest and the properties of the feet, because that's what I selected. You look down here, and freeze properties is going to be the one that's changed. That's the Y translate. And then down here it's just going to restore the figure, apply the control property, and restore the figure rigging. All of which are good and valid. So now we've ERC freeze, and if we take the dial, you can see adding the feet raises and lowers the chest as appropriate. This is, however, the overly complicated chest. Right now, to open it, they got to hunt down the key, and they got to turn the key, and they got to hunt down the lock. They got to open the lock, and then they can open the chest. That's entirely too much drama. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one dial that will automate all that, just to be fancy. I'm going to do that first by opening the timeline here. I'm going to set up an animation. I'm going to make it 21 frames long, because I thought about that really long and hard, and that's the number I came up with. And I'm going to take the lock and the key and the lid are going to be the 3 things in play. I'm going to hit the plus key here just to get a keyframe set for everything at its default value. And then I'm going to go take the key. I'm going to go back to frame 5, and there, take the key, and I'm going to turn the key. So the key is going to open between frames 0 and 5. The key is going to turn. Hit that button, even though it shows the thing. I always hit the button anyways. So the key is turned. As soon as the key is done turning, I want the lock to start opening. I don't want to open it beforehand, so I'm going to 0 it there. The lock's going to open to about here, or here. Yeah, here. We'll have the lock open to about here, so I'm going to go and swing the lock open and create a keyframe there. So now the lock will go, and if we were close enough, you could see the key turning. So there's the key turns up to 5, keys turned, lock swings open to there. Now right about here, let me see, turn it sideways here so I can see. Now we're impatient. We're not going to wait for the lock to open before we start opening the lid. We're just going to wait until the lock gets clear. And always stop spawning while I'm in the middle of recording, because I'm recording and the thinks I'm trying to get its attention. Here. Yeah, that works. So I'm going to go back to about there. Okay, yeah, there. The lock's clear of the key. We can swing the lid open now. We're going to hit 0 to start it off closed. We're going to open the chest the rest of the way, all the way over to 20. So we'll open the chest and save that keyframe. So now if we walk our way back, you can see, well, here, let's just go back to the beginning. We'll go forward. Take it off of that so we can see that key. There we go. So if we walk it forward now, you can see from 0 to 5 the key turns, and the lock swings open. Once it's clear, the chunk starts, the lock keeps going, the lid opens, and everything runs beautifully. And that's great, and it's an animation, and nobody likes those. We much prefer dials. So I'm going to turn this whole thing into a dial real quick here. I'm going to come back here to my root node of the body, parameter tab, go back into edit mode. I'm going to create a new dial, and I'm going to name this open lid. I'm going to leave it in controls. It's not going to be hidden, not going to be locked. I'm going to change its type. This is going to be a pose type control. Difference there, if you set it for shaping, only the really two you need to worry about is pose and shaping, or shape, pose, shape. If you set it for shape, it'll show up in the shaping tab as long as the other rules are all met. And if you set it for pose, then it'll show up in the posing tab. It'll also save out when you save a pose. And same thing for shaping. When you save a shaping preset, if the dial is set as a shaping dial, then it'll save out with shaping presets. But this one's a pose, so I'm going to leave it as pose. We're going to leave all this, leave all that. I'm going to change the min to 0. I want this dial to run from 0 to 1, and I'm going to go ahead and leave it as a percent. I'm going to create that dial. So now the dial is created. I'm going to do something with it, because right now it doesn't do anything. So we're going to select it, ERC freeze, and of course it's filling out the dial you selected. I'm going to hit the keyed property here, or the keyed checkbox, and it shows here all the different keys that are set. For some reason, I'm not totally sure why. It's very annoying though. I'm sure I messed up something. It thinks the scale dials are changing and the renderable and the cast shadow dials. The only ones that I want selected here are going to be those 3 rotations that I did. Yeah, the open lock, the turn key, and the open lid are the only things that I wanted to actually write to the dial. So I'm going to hit OK here, accept, and hopefully it'll work. Looks like it worked, it didn't break. So now if I turn the open lid dial, you can see the key turn, the lock opens, the lid opens. So between 0 and 100%, it goes in and does all those animations. I'm pretty sure there was something else I was going to show you, but I forgot what it was. So I'm just going to play with this for a minute. That was it. We're done with the timeline. We could, in fact, clear the animation. And the dial still works. And the feet still work. And I can't remember what else I was going to show you. I'm going to go ahead and save it as a support asset because I haven't done so yet. It's going to be a figure and prop asset. I'm going to save right there as chest. I'm going to overwrite all the stuff from before. I think I changed that. Yeah, I changed that to my name. And I forgot what I'd name this, so I'm going to do one of these. That one. This is what happens when you just grab a handy product folder. There it is, over the complicated chest. Alright, so now I don't have to redo it. And that's all there is to it.